think that there's room for all of us out there. And I think it's kind of cool, the whole girl power thing, and that we're so young and teenagers our age are digging us.
Other female pop artists like Christina Aguilera and Britney Spears.
To be compared to those girls is like, it really is a compliment to me because they are so successful.
We're all different things, and it's just a matter of time before everyone totally sees it.
I don't like the picture.
You don't like the picture?
I don't like the picture, but I don't have a... I don't like being...
What's wrong with the picture?
It's just kind of old.
It's old?
It's old.
What are you, like 15 there?
Actually, I think like 14 and a half.
Oh. But you don't mind being a group with them? It's an honor.
It is. Hey, they're so successful. They've sold millions of records. They're, idolized by lots of people all over the world.
Hello bratties, I'm Odjuani and welcome back to the Spoiled channel. And yes, we're talking about Britney Spears once again on this channel. You know how Trisha Paytas is somehow connected to any internet lore that ever existed? Britney is somehow connected to any topic that we talk about on this channel. And before I'm anything, I'm a Britney fan.
I want you to know that before I'm an American, I'm a Britney fan.
And it's also a great way to celebrate my new poster right here, Mother. And since 1999 was 25 years ago, I just thought it would be fun to dive into the rise of the pop princesses of that year. And 1999's official pop princesses were Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, Jessica Simpson, and Mandy Moore. So on this video, I'm gonna talk about each of them separately before 1999, and when we get to 1999 we're going to talk about the album rollouts and how everything came to be, as well as kind of giving my opinion about their albums. I'm no musician, I'm not a music expert or anything, but I just thought it would be fun to share what I thought about their albums, and yeah, let's get to it.
I'm Kent Brockman.
And I'm teen sensation Britney Spears.
And I'm Kent Brockman. With Britney Spears.
During a time where only girl bands and boy bands dominated the music industry, such as the Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, the Spice Girls, TLC, etc., all catering to young audiences, there weren't a lot of young solo acts at the time. You had Brandy and Monica, but they were more focused on R&B rather than pop per se. Britney Spears, along with Christina Aguilera, was part of the Mickey Mouse Club. After the show ended in 1994, unlike her colleagues who went to New York and LA to pursue their careers, Britney returned to Louisiana, where she lived a relatively normal life, often spending time with her friends and going to school. Despite this, she still had a strong desire to perform. So in 1997, she was in talks into joining the girl group Innocence that was being formed at the time, but she and her mother decided that she should pursue a solo career instead. After her mother talked with the entertainment lawyer Larry Rudolph, he suggested that Britney should record a demo tape of a song scrapped from Toni Braxton called Today. So he would send it to record labels, executives. These executives would say that they wanted to see her in person, so she would fly all the way to New York and perform. And most of them rejected her, saying that they were more focused on pop groups rather than solo acts, since there wasn't gonna be another Madonna or Debbie Gibson or Tiffany anytime soon. We'll see about that. And Debbie Gibson and Tiffany were huge teen pop acts back in the 80s. Britney would ultimately land her solo record deal at Jive Records, the same record label that signed the Backstreet Boys and NSYNC at the time.
I met an entertainment lawyer. He sent me to New York when I was 15 at the time. And I was so nervous, and I got up in front of, a bunch of his executives at Jive, and I sang, and they signed me.
She would spend months working on the album and living in New York with her family friend Felicia. She was looking out for Britney since her parents at the time couldn't. Music producer Eric Foster White was the one working with Britney. Felicia and Britney would fly all the way to Sweden so she could work with famous music producer Max Martin. Max was the one who produced songs for the Backstreet Boys and Robin at the time. And right after listening to a demo tape of a song that the Backstreet Boys and TLC had rejected called Hit Me Baby One More Time, Britney knew it would be a hit. She would record it in May 1998 and the name of the song would be changed to just Baby One More Time. She would film the music video for the song in August 1998. The original concept would be futuristic, with astronauts, very Power Ranger, like, at least that's what Britney says in her memoir, and then they changed it to a school setting. And she decided it would be better if it was set in a place where her fans could relate. You know, her audience could relate.
The concept is like taking place at a school. It was kind of my idea also, and it takes place at a school, and the kids can't wait to get out of school, you know. Then we all get out and we just like have a bunch of fun, and it's talking about a guy that, you know, I wished I wouldn't have broke up with, you know, and then, you know, me wishing that we were back together. So yeah, that's basically it. And we're just like a bunch of dancing and, you know, a bunch of kids having a lot of fun at school.
Alicia played the teacher in the music video, and Britney's cousin Chad Spears played her love interest, which I thought it was interesting. Britney would also go on a small mall tour sponsored by L'Oreal. The tour would be called L'Oreal Hair Zone Mall Tour, and it would go around North America during the summer to promote her single, just like the teen pop sensation Tiffany did back in the 80s. Britney said it wasn't that much fun since no one knew her, but right after the single came out on October 13, 1998, and the music video premiered a month later, Britney blew up instantly, and the malls were packed and people loved her. Meanwhile, people were criticizing the lyrics of the song because they thought it promoted domestic violence. They were also criticizing the music video because Britney was a 16-year-old showing her back. Actually, the controversy was more about the schoolgirl outfit she wore. Mila Tequila discusses this in her video Eras of an Icon, which I definitely recommend. The song would end up becoming an international hit and one of the best-selling singles of all time, selling over 10 million copies.
I'm so over these pictures, I can't wait. I think when I'm like so old, I'm gonna look back at this cover and go, whoa. You know, just because this bag doesn't even look like me anymore, right? So everybody says.
Now, after the Mickey Mouse Club ended, Christina Aguilera moved to Japan to record a duet with the country's famous singer at the time, Keizo Nakanishi. Hope I'm pronouncing his name right. And even go on a singing contest in Romania, but nothing would come to fruition, so she would go back to the US and try to get a record deal. And this was around the same time Britney was trying to get a record deal as well. This is what Christina said about it. Britney and I kept in touch in the early years because we were both trying to get record deals. I knew she was in Philly and I was working with a couple of producers out of New Jersey. Then I heard this girl had signed with Jive. I was being shopped there too. And my gosh, it was Britney. And I thought, my gosh, we're both going for the same thing. It was cool to me that we were both doing it because never would I have imagined what was to follow. She would eventually get signed at RCA Records through the record producer Ron Fair. Ron got her demo tape with her singing a few songs, including Whitney Houston's Run to You, and he made her sing live for her.
I was in New York at the time, and in a very small office, she stood before me, and I said, okay, Christina, sing.
Totally put me on the spot. He's like, so sing for me. And I was like, okay. But, you know, I didn't back down. I did it. And I started singing a Whitney Houston song from the Preacher's Wife soundtrack. Sang that and I think another song that I had off of my demo tape called Obvious, and that was it.
And Ron would eventually receive a call from an associate at Disney asking if he knew a performer that could sing a song called Reflection that would be part of the soundtrack of Disney's upcoming animated film, Mulan. He immediately thought of Christina, and after she sent another tape of her singing Whitney Houston's Run to You Again for Disney executives, she would be in LA filming the music video for Reflection in the same week. And we all know she's slayed. If anyone had to perform it, it had to be Christina. From that, Christina was ready to start working on her first album. Christina's vision for the album was more of an R&B sound, and the album was set to be released that year, 1998. However, there would be a few setbacks from label executives. One of them would be probably Britney's success with the teen pop sound. So the label executives wanted Christina to go into the teen pop direction as well, which was not what she wanted. She wanted an R&B sound. This is what she said. I was held back a lot from doing R&B ad-libbing. They clearly wanted to make a fresh-sounding young pop record, and that's not always the direction I wanted to go in. Sometimes they didn't get it. They didn't want to hear me out because of my age, and that was a little bit frustrating. The album would be pushed to be released on January 1999.
Is this chicken what I have, or is this fish? I know it's tuna, but it says chicken by the sea. Is that stupid? What?
Jessica Simpson had always dreamed of becoming a singer from the start, being raised Christian and singing at the church choir. She then got the chance to audition for the Mickey Mouse Club with no one other than Britney and Christina, but she didn't get in.
I looked quickly at the group, and there was like this 12-year-old Cindy Crawford. Gorgeous, just eyes sparkling, just like a glow around this child.
She sang Amazing Grace a cappella, and he was just like, she's great, we love her.
Immediately for the singing, she got 3 stars and a 10.
And they came back out and they said, I need to speak with her mother. We want to bring her out to Orlando for a final audition. And could Jessica come? Well, of course she can come.
That year, the competition at the camp was extremely tough. It was the most talented group of kids that I'd found in the 5 years of going out and looking for Mouseketeers with Britney and Justin and Christina.
I do remember when Britney Spears came in because she looked a lot like Jessica. I looked at her and I looked at my husband and I was like, whoa. On the TV, the little monitor was, and she starts watching. And the girl that went in front of her was Christina Aguilera. And so Jessica starts watching her. And she just sat there with her mouth open. She's like, oh my gosh, this is my competition. I've got to be as good as her.
She was next, so she went out to perform.
And it's all done in front of the camera. And Jessica had never done camera work before.
And she had 4 cameras and lights slamming her. And this is her first time ever out in a situation like that.
It was just like a deer looking in headlights.
She forgot words to her song. She blew the acting audition. Tina and I were sitting there going, oh my God, what just happened to our baby?
So in 1999, with the help of a head of a Christian record label, she would eventually work on her debut album, Jessica, focused on gospel music. The record label would go bankrupt and the album never got released. But her grandma did give her enough money so she could make copies of the albums so she could sell at concerts with her dad. It was only until she met Teresa LaBarbera White, an A&R, artist and repertoire, which is basically a talent scout for record labels to find new and upcoming singers. She had listened to the demos that Jessica had recorded, singing Celine Dion's Seduces Me and Whitney Houston's Run to You and I Have Nothing. And this is what Jessica wrote in her autobiography when she met Teresa at the time. Teresa told me about the history of Sony and Columbia and how she prided herself on being what she called an artist's advocate, nurturing young talent and putting them with the right songwriters and developing them as songwriters themselves. She had signed with the Houston girl group led by a singer she had known since she was 9. She is 16 now, amazingly talented, she said. Her name is Beyonce Knowles. Teresa told her she would arrange a meeting with the famous producer Tommy Mottola, the head of Sony at the time. But since nothing was set in stone, she still had to go to record labels and audition for them so she could get a record deal. And this is what happened when she went to Jive Records. When I sang I Will Always Love You at Jive, they were direct with me. We just signed a girl who's just like you and she sang the same song. Someone in a suit said, this girl, Britney Spears. Oh, I know her, I said, my stomach flipping. Small world, he said. Yeah, I said, defeated all over again. And then when she went all the way to RCA Records, this is what they said. Then at RCA, I got the same story. As if the girl had just been in the same boardroom and ink was still drying on the contract. She had apparently nailed the song on a Disney soundtrack and they were going to sign her. Christina, I got here first. I'm sorry, I shouldn't be laughing at that. I got something, said the guy, looking around the room for someone to give him the right name. Aguilera, I said, holding back a sigh. She's really talented. I feel bad for her, but she would eventually get signed Columbia Records after she met with Tommy Mottola. And this is what he said to her right after. Okay, you gotta lose 15 pounds, Tommy told me. Okay, this is such a messed up thing to say to anyone, but especially to a 17-year-old girl. Like, and it gets worse later on. So this guy is the worst. So she would work hard on her album, but for some reason it kept getting delayed. Well, not for some reason, actually two very specific reasons. Britney and Christina. Jive was pushing Britney Spears' album to press, which they made RCA really rush Christina Aguilera's album. As the label argued over calling me Jessica Simpson or just Jessica, there was a sense that I would get lost among the invasion of the teen blondes. I cannot believe these two girls were in front of me again. And honestly, I don't even blame her because I would feel the same thing. Like, imagine these two girls took your place back when you were like 6 or 9, when you were auditioning for this kid's show. And then when you're trying to, you know, again, to release your own album, these two girls come and take your place once again by releasing their own albums. I'll just get pissed off. Like, is this like a ploy against me? Why do they hate me? Why is this happening? Why? Jessica would eventually manage to get her song Did You Ever Love Somebody on an episode of Dawson's Creek, which was one of her favorite shows at the time. And the pressure on her debut album kept growing. It had started when Britney was first out of the gate with her Baby One More Time single, hitting in October. She premiered the video on MTV on Thanksgiving Day, and my job had gotten a lot harder. I got word that there was a halt on my album, and the label decided I didn't have the right songs and needed more Britney-type songs. I had been signed for my voice, but I had to now contort myself into this mode of a dancer. My answer was whatever you want. I just wanted to have my song on the radio.
Now, why are you laughing at that song? Because why? Does it seem ridiculous to you?
What does it mean to miss someone like Candy? What the does that mean?
So unlike Britney, Christina, and Jessica, Mandy didn't have an autobiography for me to look at and research, and neither does Christina, but she does have like the unauthorized ones. So something that helped me a lot with my research on Mandy's case was the podcast We Need to Talk About Britney, hosted by Jennifer Zaborowski, and Mandy was a guest there, and she talked about her career and how she got discovered. So Mandy said in the podcast that she had always loved to sing since she was a little kid. If she had an opportunity to sing the national anthem at any sporting event, she would take it. And then she ended up singing the national anthem at a nice hockey game. And these two guys approached her and her dad, asking if she was interested in recording a demo for them. And when she was recording the demo, a guy working at FedEx walked by and heard her sing. He was actually a friend of 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 someone who worked at Epic Records, and he helped her get signed there, and boom, she was just getting a record deal at 15.
Yeah.
Boom. One recording session and
Yeah.
now you're getting signed.
Absolutely. It was unfathomable. I'm glad it happened to me when I was young because you're clueless and you're also fearless. It's the perfect combination. So I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm ready.
And now we're going to move on to 1999, and we're going to talk about the rise of the pop princesses and their album rollouts.
And now we're going to leave you with the biggest selling record of 1999.
We hadn't even heard of her a year ago, but she's dominated the charts this year. She is the queen of pop, Miss Britney Spears.
Hi, I'm Britney Spears, and Merry Christmas to everyone at Top of the Pops, and this is Baby One More Time.
Now picture January 1999, the month and the year I was born, Britney was blowing up. People were crazy for her. Her debut album was supposed to come out in the fall of 1998. It would be self-titled and with a whole different cover, featuring a more down-to-earth Britney. But then the title and the cover got completely changed since the single Baby One More Time got extremely successful. Baby One More Time would be released on January 12, 1999, with a whole new cover, still down to earth, but with a girly aesthetic. She was the first female artist with a #1 single and album in the same week. The album would sell 26 million copies worldwide, becoming one of the most successful albums of all time, topping the charts in multiple countries. By that time, Britney would have her own website and merchandise available for her fans. I personally love the flower designs that they made for her branding at the time. I just love how they looked, especially on the CDs. To promote the album, she would go on multiple talk shows, give live performances, and guest star on TV shows as well, such as Kenan and Kel.
Is he okay?
Oh, yeah, he always passes out when he meets Britney Spears.
And also go on a tour through Canada and the US, sponsored by Tommy Hilfiger. She would release the song sometimes as a single along with the music video in April. Britney allegedly hates this song or the music video or both, but I personally love it because I remember coming back to school and like hopping on the computer and going on YouTube to play the music video over and over, and I just thought she looked so angelic, so ethereal. I mean, she always looked stunning to this day, but in that music video, there was like something about her. Later on, her controversial Rolling Stone magazine cover would come out. She was photographed by David LaChapelle, who is known for the hyper-realistic style of his photos. And honestly, I get why it was so controversial, because Britney was underage and the photos were kind of, you know, they were a bit too realistic. It was definitely not the best marketing strategy. The following single would be Drive Me Crazy, which would be featured on the film Next to You. But the name of the film got changed to Drive Me Crazy because of the song's major success at the time. Britney's presence at the premiere would even overshadow Melissa Joan Hart, who was the actual star of the movie. Britney would even guest star on Sabrina the Teenage Witch as well in September. By the way, one of my favorite episodes.
Could I go home now?
Sure, thanks. Great voice, but she really needs to work on the dance moves.
She would also give an iconic performance at the VMAs in the same month. The song Born to Make You Happy would be an exclusive single in Europe, which by the way is one of my favorite songs, that single from this era. My outfit is inspired by her outfit in the music video, so. Later on, the song From the Bottom of My Broken Heart would be released as an exclusive single in the US. Out of all the singles, the music video would be more story-driven with no choreography, since the song was more of a pop ballad rather than an actual pop dance single. In November, she would release the VHS tape called Time Out with Britney, with behind-the-scenes footage of the process of making the album, filming music videos, and also talking about how she came into the spotlight. And her outfits in this era would be more down-to-earth, very girl next door-esque. It doesn't mean that she didn't have iconic outfits. During her tour, she would wear this pink tube top with white baggy pants, as well as this sparkly plaid skirt with a pink top. And I love how her dolls were modeled after her iconic outfits in this era as well. And overall, I would say that this era is more of like an introduction to Britney. It's very bubblegum pop, it's very 90s and teen pop and dance with a few ballads in between. She didn't have much of her signature baby voice in the songs. It was very girl next door, it was pretty innocent, no innuendos, and the critics didn't like that at the time. They thought it was pretty immature. But who cares? We, as fans, we loved it. Is it my favorite Britney album? No, but I can still have fun with it. I still appreciate it. I'm obsessed with Baby One More Time, You Drive Me Crazy, Sometimes, Born to Make You Happy. Love these songs. Love, love, love these songs. Deep in my heart is that girl, and Yeah, there's also Autumn Goodbye, which is a pretty fun song. There's even this one called Email My Heart. I mean, not even the writer himself knows what this song is about, but I still had fun with it. And we know that from then on, her albums would get better and better. Thank you, Baby One More Time.
My body's saying let's go.
So remember when I said that Christina Aguilera's album would come out in January 1999? Well, it didn't. The album got delayed once again. Once the producers played for her the demo of Genie in a Bottle, she did not like it. It took a while for the song to grow on her, especially because it was very pop focused.
Christina didn't want Genie in a Bottle to be her first single. She felt it didn't showcase her vocal talent well enough.
She believed that any decent singer could sing Genie in a Bottle and make it a hit. She liked it, but it just didn't show off who she wanted to be.
She wanted to put her stake in the sand and say, like, I'm Barbara, I'm Celine, I'm Mariah, but she needed to sing songs that would reach fans her own age.
The lead single, Genie in a Bottle, would be released on May 11, 1999. The song would be a major success even before the music video had even come out. And after the music video dropped, the song would go #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. With the song having sexual references, it did cause a bit of a controversy. Former teen pop singer Debbie Gibson was reportedly horrified about the song. And the song wasn't even about sex. Like Christina even said it. The song is not about sex, it's about self-respect. It's about not giving into temptation until you're respected. The self-titled album would be released in August 24, 1999. Debuted at #1, it received positive reviews from the critics, mostly praising Christina's powerful vocal range. She would go on talk shows to promote the album, give live performances, as well as guest star on an episode of Beverly Hills 90210 in September of that year. In October, she would release her second single, What a Girl Wants, in Japan first. And then later, in November, the single would be released in the US and other countries. However, the version of the song released in Japan was different from everywhere else. In Japan, people got the original version, a more R&B version of the song, and everyone else got the pop version with a few elements of R&B.
I wanna thank you for giving me time to breathe. I wanna thank you for giving me time to breathe.
I love both versions, and I feel like either of them would have been hits. The music video was released in December that year, and the promotion of the album would go into the new millennium. The song would become the first #1 single/song of the year 2000 and the 2000s decade overall. A VHS tape and DVD called Genie Gets Her Wish was released in December of 1999, showing the behind the scenes of her making the album. Her next single would be I Turn to You, a more of a soul ballad, along with the Spanish version as the B-side called Por Siempre Tu. The music video for this single was more story-driven, with no choreography. Christina would then go on a tour called Christina Aguilera in Concert, sponsored by Sears and Levi's. Destiny's Child would be one of the opening acts. And when it came to style, out of all of the pop princesses, I feel like Christina had an edge and was more sophisticated. She wore leopard prints a lot and leather. Christina was such an interesting case because if you look at her in 1998, on the music video for Mulan, you see that she was so, business casual. In 1999, you would see her getting more edgy, showing more skin. And then you look at her in 2000 and you see that she has long hair and red streaks. She was evolving really fast with her fashion. She also had dolls modeled after her outfits as well. Her branding and aesthetic would be around these discs or circles. You could always notice at the top of her name on the album and on the design of her CD, and you could also see it in photo shoots. And more specifically, during the Come On Over music video, you could see the aesthetic of the circles slash discs all over the music video. And initially, the song was more simple and teen pop focused, but then once it was released as a single, it got a remix, a new different vibe to it. It was more edgy and sexy. The album sold over 14 million copies worldwide and earned her a Grammy for Best New Artist. So the album overall is not very teen pop to me. It felt more like an R&B type of album. Songs like So Emotional and Somebody gave me an R&B kind of vibe. They were my fave tracks from the album. Other songs were more like ballads, like Reflection from Mulan soundtrack got added into her debut album. The album's very flirtatious and more sensual with songs like When You Put Your Hands on Me. It was a good album. I liked it. Now, Jessica Simpson's career would get more traction after the release of the Dawson's Creek soundtrack. And for that, her record label got excited for her upcoming debut album. The single I Wanna Love You Forever was released on August 30th, 1999, and it reached #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. The song was more of a power ballad. Columbia wanted to contrast Jessica's image with Britney and Christina since they had released dance tracks. Her whole image was built around virginity and innocence. She wore a purity ring. Meanwhile, she began dating Nick Lachey, the then member of the boy band 98's. She was also the opening act for Ricky Martin. The music video for I Wanna Love You Forever was released in November of that year, and this is what Tommy Mottola said to her. "This video is great," he said, "but you can do better." Immediately, I went over a mental checklist of possible flaws. Did I look awkward singing? Had I not sold it? I want a six-pack for the next video, he said. Janet Jackson abs. What?
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
This is what confuses me, because they're like trying to build this image of the virgin girl, and yet they want her to like show six-packs? That doesn't make sense. She said Columbia did get her a trainer, which did help her maintain her breath with the heavy-duty choreography, but she didn't get any Janet Jackson abs. So you know what she did? She drew them with eyeshadow. She had to do what she had to do. Her album would debut at number 65 on the Billboard Hot 200. Columbia wasn't happy with that, and Jessica started comparing herself with Britney and how she had sold millions of copies and she hadn't. The record label would then lean on Jessica and Nick's relationship to kind of boost the sales for the album by releasing the pop ballad Where You Are on February 21st, 2000. The single was part of the soundtrack for the movie Here on Earth that premiered that year as well. The next and final single would be released right after. And this is what she wrote about it. Our duet Where You Are sold okay numbers and didn't push the album higher on the charts. So Tommy Mottola was determined that I make good on showing my abs in the video for the next single. When discussing the concept for I Think I'm in Love with You, the label kept using the phrase MTV friendly, which meant big smiles and skin. I made sure to keep feeling the music by placing my hands around my stomach. I was just so uncomfortable showing that much of my body and jumping around. Nothing to see here, folks. Buy my album. Overall, the album's fine. Again, a nice introduction to Jessica Simpson. It has some great ballads, such as the lead single, I Wanna Love You Forever. It's a beautiful song, and you could see how talented Jessica was for, you know, carrying it. There was also a mix of teen pop songs and bubblegum pop with R&B influenced ones. My favorite tracks were Sweet Kisses, which is the title track. Also, allegedly, the song Sweet Kisses was a Britney reject from her album Baby One More Time. So, but I'm not sure about that. So, and Betcha She Don't Love You, which is a banger. I love this song. There was also the fact that the media was obsessed with asking questions about her virginity and her purity ring, and it was insane. And the same thing happened with Britney as well. They were also obsessed with asking her about her virginity, if she was a virgin, which is gross because, like, who cares? Like, we're here for the music. This is a really good autobiography. Like, I was like surprised in how good this was. Like, it's so juicy, it's so honest and vulnerable. Like, I got it from the library, like my local library. By the way, please go support your local libraries. It's a really good celebrity memoir. Like, I definitely recommend. She's very honest about her life, her traumas, her mistakes as well. And there were also sweet moments as well, like the fact that she was friends with Beyonce and Kelly Rowland. They even have a feature song on the album, which is a really good song. It's called Woman in Me. It's called The Woman in Me or Woman in Me. Anyway, it's just like Britney's Memoir, which is another recommendation as well. It's definitely one of my favorite tracks on the album. Her fashion was also very girl next door, very casual. I specifically love her outfit during a special appearance she made at a record store to promote her album. She looks so cute and wholesome. Her album would eventually peak at number 25 on Billboard and sell over 1 million copies in the US. And back in 1999, Mandy would start recording her debut album, and Britney was, at the time, blowing up. She would then become an opening act for NSYNC during summer of that year, and in July, she would film her music video for Candy. It's such a beautiful music video, like it captures the essence of being a teenager back then. It's such a vibe and it's so vibrant. I always feel nostalgic listening to the song and watching this music video. Even though I was an infant back in the day, it's such a vibe. It's such a vibe. I love this song. The song was released on August 17, 1999, debuted at number 88 on the Billboard Hot 100, then peaking at number 41 eventually. The song was a bigger success in Australia and UK, peaking at number 6 in the UK and number 2 in Australia. And it reminds me of Robin's Show Me Love and Do You Know What It Takes, as well as Bake Me One More Time. They kind of all sound pretty similar to me because they kind of have the same melody. I don't know how to explain because I'm not a musician, but if you listen to each of them back to back, you kind of get the same vibe. The next and final single would be Walk Me Home, which by the way is my favorite song from the album, and dare I say the best song from the album. Yeah, both Candy and Walk Me Home would be featured on the film Center Stage in the year 2000. It's a great movie, by the way. The album would be released in December, selling 1 million copies. Her fashion would also be very girly, very girl next door, but also with a bit of an edge to it. 15-year-old Mandy Moore was very stylish to me. She also had dolls modeled after her in her outfits. The album overall is not that bad. Like, it's very silly, it's very bubblegum pop. Out of all the princesses, she was definitely the most manufactured one in a sense. Like, she herself said that she didn't really connect to the songs. Like, she was just there happy to sing and perform. And she knew herself that she was her label's response to Britney and Christina at the time. This is what she said on her podcast, Let's Talk About Britney. I think she's like the leader of the pack. She started it all. She was at the forefront of crushing the pop music scene, opening the doors for everyone, men and women alike. I knew once I had been signed and once I was aware of Britney, and then Christina came out shortly thereafter. I knew it was my record label's answer to that. So I was aware that that's what my record label was doing. But I also knew that I couldn't compete in that sense. I'm not Britney. I'm not a great dancer. I don't have that same showmanship quality. That was never gonna be me.
I just don't understand what went wrong. Maybe it's the grandmother. No, she really likes me. She told me I look like Britney Spears, and why would you say that to somebody you don't like?
And I gotta say, I'm fascinated by how the lives of these women were connected and how it impacted them. I mean, they were all having their dreams coming true in the same year. When Britney got successful, Christina had to make teen pop music, even though that wasn't her goal. And Jessica and Mandy had to add, choreographies to their songs and music videos so they could, hop into the trend. There was also the singer Willa Ford who came out around the same time. And on top of that, they were all being compared to one another. I feel like they handled everything pretty well. I mean, Jessica admitted that she should have handled it better because she would slip up sometimes and kind of throw shade. But hey, we all slip up, we all make mistakes. She wouldn't slip up if the media wasn't so obsessed with pitting women against each other. I mean, 25 years later, the music industry is very different from what it was. There's no more teen pop anymore. There's no music catered to teenagers anymore. The pop princesses are more, distinct for one another. And authenticity is very much in. Like, an example of that is like Charlie XCX's Brat album. Like the Girls So Confused remix with Lorde. Like both of them open up about their struggles, how one was jealous of the other, and how they were constantly being compared to one another, and how they were able to deal with that, and how one was struggling with something completely different than just being compared to the other one. It was confusing, and yet they worked it out on the remix. Imagine if Britney, Christina, Mandy, and Jessica worked it out on remix right now. Like, let's make this happen. I just wanted to add that these women are now being successful in their own ways, and making this video made me a bigger fan of each of them. That's all I have for today, bratties. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Take care, and bye-bye.